Hello and welcome to LST Plays. I have no idea if anyone's actually watching this. I'm quite new to YouTube and basically I haven't really done any kind of audio capturing for any of my previous videos. I've basically just uploaded gameplay footage. But for this one I wanted to try a couple of things. One being my audio recording software that I've got, my microphone and my editing software, just to see if I could edit a voiceover and just to see what the quality would be like in comparison to the video. It's something that I'm still really trying to get better at. It's something that I haven't really had much experience or any kind of knowledge about in the past. So this is all new to me. I haven't really done anything like this before whatsoever. So yeah, this is really a test. It's like a live experiment just to see if I can do this. So far making the videos has been really good. It's been really fun learning how to create videos with a capture card. I'm using an Elgato HD60. I'm not getting quite the best out of it. For a few things you'll notice if anyone's watched the previous videos that I've made, they're all at about 720 at max. And a large reason for this is that the display devices that I have aren't great, and it's something that I need to improve on. So there's that, and there's a few other reasons as well, but it's something that I want to improve on. And 720 is not great, but it's still HD, so you can't really knock what you can afford and what you're given. So for this video, there's a couple of reasons that I wanted to do this. One is that you may notice, if you have actually watched any of my previous videos, that I was on floor, I think 13 before, or 14, and I have no idea what happened, but basically my card didn't seem to record floors 14 through 15, so we've had to sort of skip to floor 16. And that had happened previously as well. I think I missed 7 and 8, possibly 9. And again, same reason, new to using a capture card, I'm making schoolboy errors and I've basically missed a couple of floors. I'd played them, recorded them, well, to my knowledge, and yeah, didn't work out in the end, unfortunately. So you live and you learn, and hopefully I can basically stop it from happening again, and each time I make these videos, hopefully they just get a little bit more better and better. So there you go. Dungeon of the Endless. I really want to talk about it, just not for too long. I quite like the fact that I'm not recording commentary for every video. With games like Dungeon of the Endless, it's really hard to comment on what you're seeing, what you're playing. Well, it's really hard to comment on the play, because if you do commentary for a game like this, you're going to find that the video will take ages. You'll find that you're explaining every single little thing in the game and you're not really focusing on the game. The playthrough that I'm going through with the current playthrough I'm doing for this, the Endless mode, is really a focus on, I just want to see how far I can get. It's something that I've done before, and I think I got up to about floor 20 before, and then it just got sort of completely crazy. They released a new update on Steam, which you can see the Team Fortress 2 characters they put into it, which is pretty cool. So I wanted to have a crack with those guys and just see how far I could get. With a lot of the games that I've started playing and recording for, they're not really games you can comment on live, so this is all sort of dubbed over after I've made the video. But I'll just want to talk about Dungeon of the Endless for a little bit. Dungeon of the Endless is an absolutely fantastic game. It's a game that I've been following since it was first released. I had never played Endless Space, which Amplitude had previously released. It was really popular. It's a space RTS game. Well, it's a space strategy game, and it's not really my cup of tea. I've bought it. I mean, if you're on Steam and you don't have Endless Space, then probably space type games aren't your thing, and this may not be your type of thing either. So you may not have either of them. But Dungeon of the Endless is a unique game in that it's a hybrid. It's an RPG, it's a tower defense game, and it's an RTS game at its core. It's really about making the right decision from floor to floor. The game itself is simple enough that anyone who's never played this type of game before can get into it. And anyone who has played this type of game will certainly get a lot of satisfaction out of it. Tower defense is not normally something that I go in for. I think the last tower defense game I actually played was Sanctum 2, which is, again, it's a hybrid of tower defense. It's a first-person shooter mixed with tower defense. This game really intrigued me when I first saw it on Steam, just mainly because of the graphics. I grew up in the 80s, so playing sort of NES games and things of that nature was really part of my growing up. So when modern games come out and they sort of try and emulate games from, you know, my sort of childhood, it always instantly resonates within me. I really want to sort of play them and see what they're like, see if they're similar to anything I've played before. And with this, I got a surprise in that it wasn't, and I knew sort of what I was getting into when I sort of watched the videos and sort of did my research about the game. But there's certainly something about it. There's a charm about Dungeon of the Endless that sort of reminded me of those sort of early games in a way, and I can't really put my finger on it, but certainly I think the graphics are a big deciding factor in my sort of love for this game, as it were. So, as I said before, it's really about making the right choices. Dungeon of the Endless is a game that is incredibly punishing if you make the wrong choice on any floor, and the difficulty does scale quite high. So, as I say, I mean, anyone can get into it and certainly play the normal game modes, which go up to floor 12. You'll get better after you sort of do a few run-throughs, but if you're doing something like this, which is the Endless mode, it is a bit more difficult. And maybe it's just me, maybe there are other players out there that play the Endless mode and they fly through it and they find it really, really easy and that's all they play. But I play other games, so for me I sort of pick it up now and again and try and sort of play it and try and get a bit further and further. And part of the reason for me wanting to record my gameplay footage is because, like probably most gamers out there, I play a lot of games, and aside from getting an achievement, which means absolutely nothing, I sort of wanted to get a little bit more out of my time playing these games, so I wanted to record them. I'm not going to explain to you how Dungeon of the Endless works. I'm not going to explain to you how the actual gameplay itself, how you play the game, because there are countless videos that do that. You can certainly just type in Dungeon of the Endless and you'll get probably hundreds, and this is one of those hundreds, or thousands possibly. It's more about, I want to create videos for me, so I really enjoy, yes, the gameplay of Dungeon of the Endless, which I'm showing you, but I also really enjoy music. I really enjoy sound effects. I really enjoy the audio presentation that the game gives you, and this is another factor for why I love Dungeon of the Endless, because the guys have done such a great job on the sound engineering for this. It's got an incredible atmosphere, and if you imagine this game without the music, it wouldn't work to a large degree. Certainly the lighting helps the game. I mean, it's not just a colourful, bright, 2D sort of retro game. It uses its audio presentation really, really well in backing up what you're looking at, what you're seeing and what you're playing. The story is very minimal, and it's been proven before that less is more with certain characters, especially in science fiction. I mean, you just have to look at like Boba Fett to sort of realize that you don't always have to tell a full story to get the essence of what a character or characters are about. And this again is sort of deployed in Dungeon of the Endless. It's not really telling you much. You're on a planet, you're fighting your way out of a situation where you basically, you know, crash into the planet, you're plunged into a dungeon or a laboratory or a prison or whatever it is. And that's all you're really given. The stories themselves are driven by character interactions, and you have to basically select or find the right group of characters to get the stories to develop. The stories are only really developed when you're in the elevator at the end of each level. With the Team Fortress 2 characters that I've selected, you basically don't even get that story until you find, or you have all 4 members. They've only put in 4 members of the 6, I think, that's in Team Fortress 2. So we're missing the scout and we're missing the Scottish fella, and it's I mean, this is obviously the fun sort of, I suppose, story arc. You've got the Team Fortress 2 characters interacting with one another. When you play the main game and you just play with the base characters, it's really good because you basically have to sort of figure out, without, well, you can Google it now and find out what characters interact with what characters, because not every single character that is in the game interacts with one another. So you may find that a bounty hunter, say, will interact with a character that is a mass murderer, for instance. So that element is very minimal. They don't allude too much to the background in this game anyway. And as I mentioned, they have another game called End of Space, and it ties in with this, which is a reason that if you like what you see here, or you have Dungeon of the Endless, I would definitely recommend, if you're enjoying the storyline and the mystery of this, then certainly check out End of Space, because again, as the title suggests, it sort of ties in, and the way it sort of ties in is, this game isn't just entitled Dungeon of the Endless because the dungeon just keeps going and going and going. It's titled because there is a sort of, in Amplitude's games, they have this race of ancient beings called the Endless, and that is why you have End of Space and Dungeon of the Endless. Currency also ties in with both types of games. You've got Dust in this, and you've got Dust in End of Space. And they also have another game called Endless Legends, which I haven't played yet. It's I think it's quite similar to possibly Civilization. It's not really my cup of tea again. I like RTS to a certain degree, but I don't have a lot of time with my job and stuff that I do, and just my family life. It's a bit more it's tricky to get the time to play video games now, so it's another reason for why I wanted to sort of record games, in that I don't want to just sort of sit here and just, you know, play a game and, you know, get an achievement and that's it. I wanted to get something a little bit more out of it and teach myself perhaps some more skills from that. So I'm probably not going to talk too much longer, because another reason why I probably don't do a lot of commentary is that I find that talking to yourself and trying to narrate a video or talk over what you're playing isn't as easy as it is for, you know, for me anyway, as it is perhaps for other, you know, YouTubers, professional YouTubers that play games. They can find anything to talk about. They could talk about a chair, they can talk about throwing a spanner down a hallway and make an entire conversation out of it. I struggle with that, so hopefully from me doing this I'll find a way of sort of improving how I talk, if that makes sense. But it doesn't come as second nature to me. So I hope you enjoy my video series anyway. This floor, I'm just going to comment quickly on this because I'm watching it as I'm sort of recording, and I basically made some mistakes at the start which impacted the gameplay later on, and you can see here that basically I've run out of, I'm not getting as much dust on this floor, as much of those little yellow bars at the top to power the rooms. So I'm running out of options at this stage, which unfortunately is impacting it. You'll find that if you play Dungeon of the Endless and you're opening doors at the start of the game and it's all going really, really well, later on in the game you'll find that the best course of action to take is actually the shortest route to the exit. So with these sort of levels that you see me playing now, and even including the previous videos that I uploaded, I'm trying to just find the exit. And in this instance I'm still trying to find it, but I'm also trying to sort of set up some kind of quarantine, if you like, around the starting point, which is where you've got your little crystal. You basically want to, just to give you an insight into what I'm sort of doing each time you sort of watch me play a video, is I'm trying to sort of set up, in any sort of tower defense, you try and sort of set up a path that you want the enemies to go. In this, it's a little bit more difficult because you'll find that some enemies will target doors and open doors, and which will then sort of cause another, well, it could potentially cause then another wave of enemies to come in. You know, every time you're basically opening a door, you're creating a chance for the enemies to spawn again to sort of take you on. And the more times you sort of get hit with a wave of enemies, the more resources you use, the more times you're building turrets, you're building just anything to sort of help you defeat the wave that you're sort of facing. In this floor specifically, I'm getting hammered by just a boss after boss after boss, and you'll have seen in the previous videos that there were, you know, these sort of small bosses, and in this one, this is like the big, like they look like dragons, but there's no like bottom half to them, and they absolutely wreck you. You basically need to put like 2 or 3 of you guys in a room with them and almost like shut the door and beat them to death. And with the problem with that is that you're going to use health, and everything in this game is resource based, so your health is a resource and you can replenish it using the little sort of like wheat corn symbol, the green symbol at the top, which runs out. So if you use too much, you're gonna be in a bad situation basically for the next floor. With every floor I'm trying to consciously keep a track of what I'm sort of spending. So in the top, I'm sort of reluctant to sort of go below 400 for each resource, bar the research, the scientific blue one. But the blue one, it's basically a case in, if you're doing the endless mode, of just spending it as quickly as you can. And at the start of the game, you know, you want to buy specifically things that will help you. In the endless mode, you don't get the luxury of having the resource generators sort of automatically there for you to build using your red resource. So I've spent a large portion of the game trying to build those up. So here you can see I'm basically taking a chance opening a door. At this point I was sort of thinking I'm pretty snookered because I've no way of getting to the exit without maybe a few more rooms lit up, so at least I can put some more turrets down to defend myself with. So I'm just trying to open a few doors just to try and get some more resources, but the dust, the resources that you get for each of these floors at the moment is pretty minimum. They're pretty stingy at this point, and you can see I'm trying to experiment. What can I do to basically get to that end point? And there's not a lot, to be honest with you, so I'm just gonna go, screw it, I'll just open this door. You won't see me spend or sell a lot of items as well. I'll point out, maybe this is a tip that maybe people don't sort of say about, but when you're doing endless mode, there is one of the merchants that you can occasionally come across. He will basically let you sell items to him for dust. So if you have enough items, you can actually just completely fill up your little yellow bar, well, quite high, to help you get through the floor. So I'm quite conscious that I don't want to really spend or sell too much of the items that I'm getting, primarily because I always want to sort of try and you know, risk opening a door to find a merchant that will, you know, let me sell items to him for dust, because that would basically mean that I'm going to get a pretty easy win if I've got like, you know, 10-15 items to sell them and they sell for 6 or 7 or more dust each, because it costs 10 to light a room, to power a room. So you can see at this point there's basically 3 bosses. I think thinking back on it, I think they are all the tougher bosses. Yeah, they're the dragon type bosses. So you'll see that I'm sort of trying to keep my hero's health up as much as I possibly can. So I think it was at this point pretty much doing these bosses that I realised that I'm not going to win if I keep trying to open doors and keep trying to go for the elusive dust. I'm probably not going to get it, and that is pretty much the question, you know, you'll ask yourself. Is it, should I just risk it? Should I just try and get to the exit with what I've got? So I think that at this stage I probably, yeah, you can see I'm getting pretty low there. You'll see that I'm going to post hopefully some more games coming up, and hopefully each video that I post will be better than the last one that I post. If anyone is watching these videos, please by all means leave me some feedback, just so I can improve what I'm sort of doing. If you have any tips or suggestions, if you're a fellow YouTuber and you have some top tips for me to perhaps do, please do by all means post a comment. I'm not going to hammer subscriptions and likes. This is for me, as I've said a couple of times. I'm doing this so that I can get better at something that I enjoy doing. I've basically just really sort of, a lot of people sort of, the podcasts I listen to especially, they sort of give off about how they don't like the editing process, how they don't like the whole sort of, you know, it just takes too long, and I actually quite like doing it. The end result involves me posting a video somewhere and I will probably forget about it after a while. So the whole editing thing and trying to sort of create something that I think somebody would like is probably the part that I get the most satisfaction out of doing. So by all means, if you have a suggestion for me that I can improve my videos with, then by all means just let me know. I'm not going to I think a lot of people who do YouTube videos just sort of, they do it for the thought of generating all this money and cash from the ads, you know, subscriptions, and with me it's not. I just want to focus on beautiful games and beautiful music and just the atmosphere and the gameplay and just sort of being absorbed into the game and taking it back to why we play games. You know, I don't want it to sort of be that I'm doing this, or I don't want it to appear that I'm doing this to do it for money. So my videos won't be monetized, they're just going to be there for you to enjoy, hopefully with, I mean, this is how much time I've spent looking at how adverts work on YouTube. To my knowledge, if I post a video, I'm not going to have an advert appear on it, and that's the way I want it to be. I don't want to put a block between you and the video. I'm doing it to, I'm creating this content so you can watch the video, so I don't see the point on putting an advert before the video. A reason for that is that I don't think, from what I understand anyway, you would have to generate thousands of views to actually earn any kind of money for it, and even if it was a little bit of money, I don't see the point. It's more to me for people to enjoy, hopefully, the videos that I make, or for me to enjoy the videos I make, just off of the back of them being ad free. So anyway, there you go, floor done. Make a break for it. I hope you enjoyed this anyway, and yeah, I'll hopefully see you in the next one, and hopefully it will be floor 17. Cheers, bye.